Hi, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the vAuto podcast. I'm Lance Helgeson with vAuto, and I'll be your host for today's conversation. To me, today's episode is pretty special because we're going to dig into a subject we have not really addressed on this podcast, and that is how are dealers optimizing the way they wholesale vehicles? And I've got two guests who know a little bit about the topic. First, Mike Maheras, General Manager of Phillips Chevrolet in Frankfort, Illinois. Hi, Mike.
Hi, thanks for having me.
You bet. And also Performance Manager Jack Gronner, who works with the broader team at the Phillips Group and other upside dealers. Hello, Jack.
Hello. Good to be here.
Indeed. Thank you guys for joining. Now, Mike, you're effectively our star of today's show. So if I may, and for the sake of our listeners, perhaps you could give us a little bit of background on you, maybe how you got your start in the car business and your role there with Phillips.
Sure. Well, thanks again. And I've been in the car business for 30 years, and I've been with the Phillips organization 25 of those 30 years. My role at the dealership is I'm the general manager of our group, managing partners. So I'm the general manager of all three stores, extremely hands-on in the used car world. With the challenges that we have faced and the challenges that we face ahead, you have to stay ahead of the curve for sure in this volatile market, and it's been a good run. I've been through all the economic cycles of the car business and looking forward to tackling the next challenge for sure.
You know there's another one coming.
Maybe.
There's another.
Maybe.
Well, let's talk about wholesaling vehicles for a minute. And you're currently using a Cox Automotive solution Upside to help you with wholesale. And I thought maybe we could start by asking, what were some of the business factors or perhaps the pain points that led you to say, you know what, maybe this is not a bad way to go about wholesaling cars?
Yeah, sure. So what led me to it was I was actually at NADA about a year and a half ago and was approached and went through the whole program and actually met with Dale Pollock at that time, and he ran through the program with me as well. And I kept going back to the name Upside. It was an intriguing part, because everyone's got a niche, everyone's got the new thing figured out, and it just kept sticking with me, like Upside. I got to really look into this because at the end of the day, if there's upside for the dealer, then I really need to investigate this. And I got to tell you, I was not on board right away. We were, at the show, and I actually had some of my guys with me, and I brought them over to the booth and I let them listen to it, and we had dinner over it that night, and they were not on board at all.
If I may,
the dealership with all my key players, with the used car managers and directors at all three of our stores, and they really hem and hawed because they're setting their way of wholesaling cars in today's market at the time a year and a half ago. But once we learned a little bit more, we're risk takers. So, we collectively came together and said, this is like legalized gambling in used cars with no downside. So we gave it a shot.
Okay. So you alluded to something kind of like the way you've always wholesaled cars. So describe a little bit of that process. What were you moving away from?
Well, we're moving away from transporting the cars to the auction.
Okay.
Risk with transporting them there. Luckily, we have an auction not too far from us, but we had to transport them. We had to have them there. We had to reserve our numbers. Then we would, go to the auction. We would go there and rep them sometimes and hope for the best. And I'll tell you that I think the single most important thing that I could take back from the Upside versus the way we used to do it was the notifications I used to get from my used car managers every single week on how many no sales they had. And I never really questioned them. I would just get this number, 9 no sales, 10 no sales, 25 no sales. it didn't dawn on me until we signed up with Upside that I didn't have any no sales anymore. And let me put that into perspective. Last year being an extremely volatile year with used car values,
Yep.
had I had all those no sales, basically what it was the used car manager saying, no, I'm not going to sell it because I'm not making enough money or I'm not going to lose money. Had we had all those no sales in 2022, I can't imagine the amount of money that we would have lost because it was the used car managers waiting to the next week, hoping to get more money for it. Didn't have that problem this year with Upside.
Where would you peg? In terms of upside and the upside it's delivering you, then compared to the losses you might have realized had you not transitioned, what are those numbers looking like right now, Mike?
So when you have a base, you already know what you're going in for. So you're guaranteed an amount of money. Anything over that amount of money with that guarantee, you're basically profit sharing, majority going to the dealer,
Mm-hmm.
and no downside at all.
So, but in terms of dollars, where would you put dollars? I looked at some of the stats you guys had for Phillips Chevrolet. It looked like it was about $1,400 per car that shows as profit.
If I had to put a dollar on it now, I could give you an exact where I think we would have been, but what I can't quantify is all the cars that we wouldn't have sold. So I got to imagine this software and this program single-handedly saved us probably hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Wow. And you just touched on a point I wanted to ask you about. Well, actually, before I ask you that, Mike, Jack, how does that experience that Mike just shared stack with what you see with other dealers using Upside?
Yeah, I think the number that also isn't quantifiable is the time that a dealer gets back to focus on those retail activities. You know, the time invested in repping cars, the time invested in making those decisions and so forth is really an opportunity cost taken away from what I could be doing or what a used car manager could be doing in the store. So for those dealers that are, embracing and adopting a similar process as Mike and the team at Phillips all the way around, the reward is not only financially a great gain, but we get to spend time doing the fun stuff, and that's selling cars, making money, having fun, and greeting the guests and training our team.
Mike, is that your experience?
So I want to add to that.
Yeah.
So when we got familiar with the program and started learning the weekly guarantees, it started educating us on actually what the baseline of a car was worth. At certain points, you could use all the software you want, but you were guessing on what a car was worth. Now you could go into, and this is also educating you on actually the dollar amount that you could put in a car and be confident and you're not going to lose money.
So on that particular point, Mike, if you look back, is this, I've heard other dealers talk about what you just described, where you have some confidence there to put some money in a car, maybe even cars you have no intention of retailing. But now you have a customer and you have a way of retailing that car, and maybe you put them in another car. And I guess, have you quantified that impact or upside to upside?
I think it's just given all our used car managers a lot more, control and freedom to call a car, because the used car manager's fear is, I'm going to put the wrong amount of money in it, then I'm going to be held accountable because we're going to lose money. So this was not only a profitable acquisition for us to sign up for, but it was also very educational and put a lot of confidence in our used car managers.
And just a process question, it touches on the point that Jack raised. So what we're describing here is really the ability to make that call, retail or wholesale exit, and make it with confidence and clarity. And I guess I'm wondering, you mentioned, Mike, that previously you guys might have been guessing, but how did you arrive at an educated guess? And I'm curious, how much time might that used to have taken?
Well, think about all the software that's available out there right now. You got vAuto, you got CarMax, now you got Upside. I mean, KBB, JD Power, Black Book, you name it. It's all out there. You need to have an exit strategy with every single appraisal. And if your used car managers know ahead of time what a car is going to sell for, it just makes it that much easier and faster.
And in terms of the speed, then you mentioned you guys have no sales. Are you seeing your money for those cars and able to apply that money faster? It seems like that would be another benefit too, as it helps redeploy your capital at a quicker turn.
Well, think about a no sale at an auction where there's a snowstorm. Okay. So you don't sell the car on Thursday. The next week you get a snowstorm. Do you think that car is going to run through the chutes that week? Not a chance. Lost keys, lost cars, values just decreasing by day. It's not an option to have a no sale anymore. Not in this market.
Understood. Now, what percentage of cars, it looked to me like you guys send most, but not necessarily all your cars that you wholesale to Upside. So what are the factors that determine this is the right place for Upside, or this car should go over here?
So in the beginning, we decided to go 100%. Everything went to Upside because we wanted to know if the junks were working, or, we call them out of market trades, something that may be bringing more money in Texas versus, I'm in the Midwest, it could be bringing a lot more money. So we would kind of take a feel of the market. We put 100% of everything that we weren't going to retail on our lot. Now, mind you, the definition of a wholesale could be different to a lot of people. We're not talking just junk. These could be vehicles, for instance, our own product. We may be able to get $4,000 or $5,000 over MSRP through the auction when we are selling them right here on our lot, brand new at MSRP. So We're probably running about 90% now going through Upside, and the guys get together and they communicate between the three stores where we could get the maximum amount of money.
Interesting. So in those other places, I guess, would be more traditional auctions or just online auctions, or maybe even wholesalers themselves.
They're mostly towaways, and we do utilize CarMax here and there.
Okay. Fair enough. Jack, on that particular point about the, I guess, volume commitment, for lack of a better word, to Upside, what's been the experience? It seems like Mike may not be alone in maybe trying it for everything and then finding sweet spots but still a majority.
Yeah, I think trying it for everything is one angle, but the nice thing about Upside is it pairs with KBB's instant cash offer. And a lot of dealers right now, or there's a lot of messaging out that says, we'll buy your car. And it's been that way. But sometimes that message isn't translated as well when the car or the offer that comes in might be on a 15-year-old car with miles that are definitely wholesale. And sometimes with buy centers and reaching out to those guests that have those older cars that are higher mileage, where it's not going to be a retail piece, aren't treated with necessarily the same enthusiasm at some stores. When you have Upside, it's exactly that. Whether it's that retail piece or the wholesale piece, however you want to define wholesale, you will know going into it exactly what you're going to get, with the potential, of course, for upside, and really keep buyers engaged. Those folks that are on the front line that are out there helping the store with customer acquisitions off the street. They get a car that comes in that they know they're not going to retail, but that they know that they can wholesale. They know that they can make money doing it. And that's really where the magic comes in, I think, with some of those older cars that, might not be as attractive, or even something you'd put your license plate frame on.
Good. I appreciate that, Jack. Mike, going back to, like what is a wholesale and the definition of wholesale, how often are the cars you're wholesaling ones that are, say, fresh, you just got them and you made that call, versus ones that have been around for a little bit and maybe you gave a shot to, but now's the time?
Great question. Well, we run a 30-day turn. We failed if the car's still here for 30 days. But we make that decision when we appraise the car. It's, in the market, it's volatile. We run an ICO on every single appraisal. Sight unseens, Facebook Marketplace, fresh trades at the curb, sell onlys, everything gets an ICO. We make that decision on the spot.
You make me think of a topic that I've been thinking a lot about lately, and that is variability among appraisers. And so it sounds to me like you've got a standard process, with ICO and KBB, no matter the sourcing channel. So what have you noticed from your position, Mike, in terms of folks hitting the cars in more of a consistent fashion, booking the cars in more of a consistent fashion?
Well, you got to stay consistent. That's why we run the ICO on every single deal. And we are a KBB instant cash offer buying center. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times the customers are coming in, they've already been prepped and they've already been online, and we can already see what's been offered online. And we compare it, and don't get me wrong, we a lot of times will go above that, to try and get the car, because we without inventory, we're out of business, and it's a controllable inventory right now. You can't really control your new car inventory where you could control your used car inventory right now. And it's extremely important for our survival.
Yep, and I think that's true for other dealers as well. I'm curious. I maybe I should know the answer to this, Mike. But we've talked about wholesaling cars. Have you used the upside direct side of the house as when it comes to acquiring cars at all?
Every single week, my guys are on there perusing the website, and they're looking to purchase vehicles. Absolutely 100%, especially on Mondays.
Yeah. How would you describe? I guess, have they made some buys then over time?
Where else can you go to shop for a car that starts at 50% of MMR?
Okay. So you're satisfied with the cars they've brought in and the margin they might have as you've purchased them there.
No doubt about it.
Okay, great. I guess one final question, Mike, is as you think of other dealers and maybe those who might look at upside and say, oh man, too good to be true. Maybe they have less, maybe upside doesn't speak to them the way it spoke to you, when you heard the name initially. But what might you say to them at this point, based on your experience?
Well, when was the last time we were able to put in a VIN, run an appraisal, a number spits out, and you're able to actually sell it at that figure where it's guaranteed?
That's a good point. Jack, any last thoughts from you here before we go?
No, I appreciate being invited today. The team at Phillips is fantastic to work with, and I think the success comes with just their commitment to the process, and that I guess that's with anything in life, right? When we commit to that, we're going to do something and execute something, we get the results, or typically we get the results that we expect. And on the upside purchases, I'd say there's an upside to folks and dealers out there that buy those cars, because almost all of them come with Deal Shield. So there's protection that you can bid with confidence that when you're buying these cars, you're getting a car that you're going to truly be able to retail.
Wonderful. Well, Jack, thank you for joining us. Mike, it's been a pleasure to meet you here and speak with you, and I'm very grateful for you taking your time for us.
Appreciate it. Thank you, gentlemen.
You bet. And folks, everyone listening in, thank you for joining this episode of the vAuto podcast. Until next time, stay well.